While my husband worked overtime to save up, build a nursery for our baby, I was sneaking off to cheap hotels with my ex, telling myself it was just closure. I was chasing a thrill I should have buried years ago. Until our daughter was born, and she looked nothing like him. Then came the slip-ups, the doubts, until finally, the paternity test destroyed the only man who ever truly loved me. I met Ryan during my second year of grad school. He wasn't flashy. He didn't chase me with rehearsed lines or perfect teeth or some curated confidence. He was just kind, quiet, safe. And after the chaos I had lived through before him, safe felt like something rare. My ex, Caleb, was the opposite of Ryan in every way. Caleb was fire. Loud, arrogant, unpredictable. He'd call me beautiful and then ignore me for 3 days. Make grand gestures, then disappear when I needed him most. I loved him like an addiction, full of highs and devastating crashes. Ryan was calm, stable. He made me dinner, sat through my rants about professors, walked me home when I didn't ask, and he never raised his voice, even when I deserved it. I think I fell in love with him slowly, like the way sunlight creeps into a room you didn't know was dark. Ryan worked as a technician at the local hospital while finishing his degree. He took early morning shifts and sometimes worked late into the night, and still, he always made time for me. When I graduated, he was there in the front row with flowers that were way too expensive for his paycheck. I remember thinking, this is the man I could build a life with. And we did. We got married in a small ceremony, just 30 people. Ryan cried when I walked down the aisle. He whispered, "I can't believe I get to be your husband." As he slipped the ring onto my finger, everyone said we looked perfect together. And for a while we were. I got a job teaching at a local college. Ryan landed a full-time position at the hospital. We moved into a modest 2-bedroom house just outside the city. It wasn't much. The pipes groaned and the windows whistled when it rained. But it was ours. We filled it with candles and coffee mugs, and Sunday mornings, curled up on the couch. When I found out I was pregnant, Ryan dropped the groceries when I told him. His eyes lit up like someone had just handed him the world. He hugged me so tightly I couldn't breathe. He talked about names, nursery colors, lullabies he wanted to learn on guitar. He picked up extra shifts right away. He never complained. Not once. He came home some nights so exhausted. He barely made it to the shower before collapsing into bed. But he always kissed me first, always asked how I was feeling. Rubbed my feet when they ached. Left notes on the fridge telling me how beautiful I looked, even when I felt bloated and nauseous and irritable. He downloaded apps to track the baby's development, started building a crib with his own hands, sketched out a budget for diapers and bottles and pediatrician visits. And me, I should have been grateful. I should have held him closer. I should have matched his energy, his love, his effort. But instead, I started thinking about Caleb. I don't even know when or why it started. Maybe it was the way pregnancy made me feel unattractive. Maybe it was boredom. Maybe it was something darker. A part of me that missed the chaos, the drama, the thrill. Ryan made life easy. Caleb had always made it messy. And somewhere in that mess, I had felt wanted. I hadn't seen Caleb in over 2 years. But one night, at 3 a.m, I was on my phone, mindlessly scrolling through Instagram. Until I saw it. Caleb. He had left a comment on a mutual's photo. I didn't realize how much I had missed him until then. I pressed on his account. He was private. The frustration grew. I needed to see him. It's been years. I needed to know what he had been up to. Don't get me wrong. It meant nothing. It really didn't. I was just curious. I needed to know. I sent him a request. Right then, at 3 a.m, he followed me back 2 minutes later. I know it probably sounds overdramatic, but I actually froze for a minute straight. It felt illegal, like I was betraying Ryan or something. However, it didn't last long. The nostalgia kicked in. The messages started small. Just, "Hey, long time. And how've you been?" I told myself it was innocent. that I just wanted to know what he was up to, that it didn't mean anything. But it didn't stay innocent for long. He asked how married life was. I told him it was good. He asked if I was happy. I lied and said yes. He asked if I ever missed the old days. I didn't respond at first, but days later, I did. I said, sometimes. From there, everything unraveled faster than I expected. We met for coffee once. Just to talk, I told myself. I wore my ring. Told him I was pregnant. He laughed and said, "That poor guy. He'll never know what he's in for." I should have walked away right then. But I didn't. The second time we met, it was at a bar. I didn't tell Ryan I was going. I told him I was staying late for a department meeting. I convinced myself it didn't matter. It was harmless. I mean, come on. Was I not allowed to have friends just because I was married? Caleb bought me a drink. Asked if I missed how things used to be. Said I still looked incredible, even with the baby weight starting to show. I told him to stop, but I smiled when I said it. The next part. A complete blur. I remember following him to his car. I think he offered to drop me home. Yeah. I think that was it. I don't remember when his hand started to trace my lower back, guiding me through the crowd. You'd think I had stopped it right. No, I didn't. I blushed. Next thing you know, we were kissing in the back of his car like we were 20 again. I actually slipped my ring off in the middle of it. I told myself that would be the end of it. It wasn't. It became a pattern. Ryan would leave for work, and I'd drive across town to see Caleb. Cheap motels. Silent rides back home with guilt clawing at my chest. I told myself I was just getting closure. That once the baby came, I'd snap out of it. That no real damage was being done because Ryan didn't know. But every time I looked at Ryan's hands, blistered from working on the crib, I felt sick. Every time he talked about baby names, I wondered if I should tell him to stop. Every time he kissed my stomach and whispered, "Daddy loves you," I felt like a monster. Still, I didn't stop. The last time I saw Caleb, I was 7 months along. He said I looked tired, said maybe we should stop before things got too complicated. I nodded, agreed, drove home. Ryan was asleep on the couch when I walked in, the TV still on, a half-written baby registry list on his lap. I sat down beside him and cried for an hour while he slept, but I never told him, I never confessed. And then, our daughter was born. She was beautiful, tiny fingers, full head of dark hair, but the moment Ryan held her, I saw something in his eyes shift. Just slightly. A shadow. She didn't look like him. Not at all. I told myself babies change, that features develop over time, that he wouldn't notice. But Ryan wasn't stupid. He noticed. He didn't say anything. Not at first. But I saw it. In the way he stared too long at her. The way he flipped through baby photos of himself on his phone. The way he smiled less, held her a little more carefully, as if waiting for something to break. I knew the clock had started ticking. He didn't scream. Didn't storm out. Didn't demand answers or throw the crib apart piece by piece. That would have been easier. Cleaner. Maybe even something I could have handled. Instead, he went quiet. It wasn't immediate. More like watching a slow leak drain all the warmth from the room. The smiles stopped lasting as long. The soft touches disappeared. He still kissed me before work, but it was quick, almost out of habit. His "I love you" felt rehearsed. His eyes didn't hold mine like they used to. He still held the baby. Still changed diapers. Still warmed bottles in the middle of the night, but he did it mechanically, like someone checking tasks off a list. And every time he looked at her, I saw it. That pause, that second of hesitation. That subtle, almost imperceptible flicker of doubt. One night, I caught him holding her in the rocking chair, just staring. He wasn't smiling, just quiet. Still, I asked what he was thinking. He said, "Nothing." But his eyes didn't move from her face. That's when I knew. He was trying to see himself in her, trying to find something, anything, that would tie her to him. But she had Caleb's eyes. Not just the color, the shape, the same wide, almond gaze that used to watch me while I got dressed. The same eyes I tried not to think about in motel mirrors. Ryan knew. He knew about Caleb too. Saw him a few times in pictures. He didn't have proof, but he knew. I started panicking. I began overcompensating. Smiling more, cooking dinners I knew he liked, cleaning obsessively, leaving handwritten notes on the bathroom mirror like we used to. I even suggested we take newborn photos together, hoping it would remind him of the life we'd built, the memories we still had. He agreed, but the photos felt forced. His smiles were tight. His arms around me felt stiff. And when the photographer tried to get a candid shot of us looking at the baby together, Ryan just stared at her. Not with love, but with that same, lingering question that was slowly eating him alive. A week later, his sister came to visit. She held the baby and smiled politely. But when Ryan stepped out to grab something from the car, she looked at me, really looked at me, and said, "She doesn't look much like Ryan, does she?" My stomach dropped. I forced a laugh. Babies change a lot. She'll probably take after him later. His sister didn't argue. She just looked down at the baby again and said, "Yeah, maybe." When Ryan came back into the room, she didn't say another word. But something passed between them. Something silent. Some shared intuition I couldn't interrupt. That night, Ryan didn't come to bed. I found him on the couch with the baby monitor in his lap and a DNA test website open on his laptop screen. He closed it fast, said he was just reading parenting forums. I nodded, pretended I believed him. 2 days later, I found the same website in his browser history, and a half-used DNA kit in the kitchen trash. That's when the floor dropped out from under me. I felt like vomiting. I sat in the bathroom with the fan on, shaking, trying to figure out if I could fix it. Lie harder. Cry if I had to. Confess just enough to make him feel sorry for me, but not enough to make him leave. But I knew Ryan, and Ryan didn't bluff. He didn't accuse unless he was already sure. I started texting Caleb. I didn't even know what I was hoping for. Reassurance. "Daniel, a way out." He responded once. "You're on your own, Aaron. This isn't my mess." And that was it. He blocked me after that. No goodbye, no explanation, just gone. Ryan didn't mention the test again. Didn't confront me. But I started to notice small changes. He stopped saying, "or daughter." Started calling her by her name only. Claire. He began making private calls in the basement. Started leaving earlier for work. Came home later. The warmth was completely gone now, replaced by something unreadable. Not anger, not hatred. Just absence. One night I asked him if he still loved me. He didn't even look up from the dishes. "I don't know what I feel anymore." That was all he said. And suddenly I realized it was already over. Not officially, not on paper, but emotionally, spiritually, soul deep, I had lost him. Whatever damage I had done had already passed the point of return. Then came the envelope. I didn't even see him do it. I woke up to find it on the kitchen table. A plain manila folder with my name written across the top in Ryan's handwriting. Inside, a printed copy of a paternity test, 0.0% probability of paternity, and next to it, a neatly typed letter. Just one paragraph. "I know. I've known for a while. Don't call me. I'm filing for custody. I'm taking Claire with me. Not to punish you, but because she deserves to be raised by someone who didn't lie to her from the day she was born. You can tell people whatever story you want. I'm done talking." I ran through the house screaming his name. But he was already gone. His closet was empty, his keys missing, Claire's clothes packed. The crib still stood in the corner of the room. The one he built with his hands, stained with his sweat, carved with tiny initials I never noticed before. I stood there sobbing until my legs gave out. The silence was deafening, and for the first time in my life, I truly understood what it meant to lose everything. Not all at once, but piece by piece, in a slow, calculated storm I brought on myself. After Ryan left, the house didn't feel real anymore. Every sound echoed. Every room looked untouched, like a museum of a life I used to live. The air was still, not calm, just empty. I walked past the nursery and left the door closed. I couldn't look at the crib anymore. I couldn't look at the tiny rocking horse he spent weeks refinishing. I couldn't breathe in there without choking on shame. I called him, of course, dozens of times. No answer. I texted, apologized, begged, lied, confessed, lied again. He didn't respond to any of it, not even to say he hated me. The silence was worse than any screaming could have been. A week later, I was served with legal documents. Ryan was filing for full custody. The attached statement was cold, precise. He listed every reason: the affair, the deception, the doubts during pregnancy, my lack of disclosure. He had screenshots, phone records, a receipt from one of the hotels. He had built his case like he built the crib. Steady, detailed, and heartbreakingly strong. My lawyer said I had little chance. Ryan had a stable job, no criminal record, evidence of consistent parenting. I had lies and a scandal I couldn't bury. But I still fought, not out of pride, out of desperation. In court, I watched Ryan sit quietly with Claire on his lap, while I cried on the stand. I talked about postpartum emotions, mistakes, confusion. I said Caleb manipulated me. I said I didn't know the baby wasn't his. Some of it was true. Most of it wasn't. Ryan didn't react to any of it. He didn't look at me once. When the judge announced joint custody with primary physical placement awarded to Ryan, I nodded like I understood. But I didn't. Not really. Not until I came home to the silence again. Not until I sat in Claire's room and realized I wouldn't see her wake up in her crib anymore. Wouldn't hear her giggle at dawn or fall asleep on my chest. I'd see her twice a week. Supervised for now. Holidays rotated. Milestones missed. I'd handed over a daughter to the man I destroyed. And somehow, he was still the better parent. People started talking. Ryan never told anyone the full truth. But secrets don't stay buried forever. My best friend stopped returning my calls. My sister told me she was shamed of me. My parents said they needed time. The mothers group I had joined during pregnancy quietly removed me from their messages. I was toxic now. Contagious. I tried seeing a therapist. I tried journaling. I tried pretending I could rebuild. But some ruins weren't meant to be rebuilt. Some sins just sit in your chest like wet concrete. Cold, unmovable, heavy forever. I saw Ryan once, 6 months later, at a grocery store. Claire was sitting in the cart, smiling, giggling at a toy. She looked taller. Her hair had started to curl. She had Ryan's hands. I hadn't noticed that before. He saw me. Paused. I stepped closer. Whispered her name. Claire looked at me like I was a stranger. Ryan gently turned the cart away and walked off without a word. I stood there, frozen, while a woman in line behind me asked if I was okay. I nodded. Paid for the one item I didn't need. Left the store and cried in my car until my throat hurt. That night, I opened an old email Ryan had sent me years ago, back when we were newly married. The subject line was, "When I think about the future." Inside, he wrote, "I don't care where we live, or what jobs we have, or how much money we make. I just want to come home to you and our daughter one day. That's my dream. That's everything to me." I read that line over and over until the screen blurred. I didn't lose him when he walked out with the baby. I lost him the day I chose someone who had already broken me, over the man who would have done anything to protect me. And I've been paying for it every single day since.